6:34, we'll call this Board of Education meeting to order. Dr. Salerno, has this been properly?
Yes, it has.
Excellent. We'll do a roll call. Joel.
I'm here.
Leah.
Here.
Jessica.
Here.
Sarah.
Here.
Tom.
Here.
Carly.
Here.
And myself. We're all here. Excellent. Let's stand and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So I'd like to read our mission statement.
Motion. The Mount Horeb Area School District, in partnership with the community, is dedicated to nurturing, educating, and challenging all students, preparing and empowering them to be productive, responsible, and self-fulfilled members of society.
Thank you, Jessica. On to 2A, approval of our presented agenda. Any revisions that anyone would like to suggest? Otherwise, look for a motion to approve.
Motion approved. Second.
Motion by Carly and seconded by Jessica. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion passes. 2B, approval of our September 2nd regular board meeting minutes.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Joel, second by Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Dr. Salerno, are there any citizens
I didn't
registered
see
for
any for
comment?
this meeting, no.
Okay. Great. On to school news.
Yes,
Should we take
boy.
this off?
Fantastic start to the school year, and that's due in large measure to our students, our staff, our parents being so well prepared. I'm excited to say that we've already got homecoming week next week. So lots of activities. Come out and say hello, visit volleyball games, cross-country meets, football game. There's even a dance next Saturday night. We're really excited about that. Our students are really in great spirits, and I had some opportunities to talk with several 11th and 12th graders over the course of the past couple of days to encourage their involvement on the board's student representative. So I think October the 8th is a date that we tentatively set aside for interviews, so we can slot people into some of their civic leadership roles here in the district at 7:30 in the morning. If board members, you happen to be available and would like to help us in that, we would sure welcome your insights. Also wanted to mention that we're already preparing for the January WASB convention. That happens January 20th through the 23rd, a Tuesday through a Friday. If you wouldn't mind just looking at your calendars and letting us know if that's something you'd be interested in. Typically, we've been able to reserve rooms prior to registration occurring, but this year they've gotten wise to us, because what they've been doing is that people have been booking rooms and then they're canceling them. So they're really smart in getting people to put their nickel down as to whether or not they're going to participate in the actual convention itself. And last but not least, here's one that I always appreciate. Our families always willing to help us, and this is an example of an area that we might use their help. It has to do with the Intermediate Center bus league. We're finding increasingly our parents, just because they know the bus drivers and these sorts of things, they often are approaching the buses while kids are around. And as you might imagine, little ones in particular are a little nervous by seeing that. Oftentimes it might be for great reasons, like I want to get my kid off the bus, or I need them to ride a different bus. And so we're just asking families that if they need assistance in any way, if they're listening to this video, or they'll also see it in the board recap tomorrow, that we want to help them. We want to give them what they need, but let's do it in a way that doesn't cause people to wonder if they don't have one of these badges on, should they be at the bus loop. So I'm confident we can continue to work together to get to a really good spot on that in the best interest of all of our students. Thank you.
Anyone else with any school news? All right, thank you, Dr. Salerno. Item number 4 is personnel transactions. Dr. Salerno, anything to call out there?
Not tonight.
Any discussion on this topic? Otherwise, I ask for a motion.
Motion to approve personnel transactions for tonight.
Second.
A motion by Tom and a second by Jessica. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All passes. Under our consent agenda, Dr. Sloan, I believe you did have a couple items you
Might
might
I
just take
please?
note of here.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so proud of our young people, as I know you are too. Here's an example of how our kids are finding solutions to getting involved in our schools when they're sometimes dealt a bad hand. And what I mean by that is our girls hockey co-op. A couple of years ago, it looked like their dreams of being on the hockey team were, pardon the pun, put on ice. And this time around, they're going to continue to have an opportunity to work with Middleton, Edgewood, Madison Memorial, Madison West, and Verona in the Metro Links. We're just asking if the board would be kind enough to continue that partnership because we have, I think, 2 students who attend and participate in that actively. So thank you for your consideration of that co-op. And then also wanted to extend a note of gratitude. I know that the board has already sent a card to the Mount Horeb Wrestling Club, but it bears worth noting publicly how profoundly grateful we are for their generosity. $14,500 thereabouts, I think, was accepted from the Finance Committee last week. This goes to help maintain safety in our wrestling practice room. They're buying new mats for us. And as you know, that's not cheap. And so we didn't have that extra support that we enjoy, not only from our wrestling families, but softball, football, basketball, you name it. I think our programs will look a lot differently. So I know on behalf of the board, you join me in extending our profound gratitude for their generosity.
Thank you for that. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve. Second.
A motion by Jessica and a second by Sarah. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. On to discussion items, starting with the Education Committee. Jessica.
Yes, that's me. What was there anything else? Okay, sorry.
Mowed through stuff.
They're right here. Okay. So we met on September 2nd. We had a grading and assessment update. Sarah showed us all the different things that are on the website. We talked about the family and student communication strategies, the teacher work that's happened on the essential learning outcomes and proficiency scales, the alignment at the elementary level with rubrics, and there were a few questions from both Joel and Tom, and Sarah is going to, as a result, discuss reassessment and reperformance at our next month's education committee meeting. We also talked about policy update to 345.1, the grading system, which will be discussed later on our agenda. And then we had a very brief update, more of an introduction to SAIL, which we are going to get more information when we have our workshop here this month. And then lastly, we had a curriculum update. Sarah shared that all the fall assessments are occurring in the next couple of weeks. They might even be done by now. And that's about it. Our next meeting will be October 6th.
Sounds good. Thank you. Any questions for Jessica? All right, you got the next one too, community coalition.
We have not met since our last update. We only meet 4 times a year, so.
Got it. Thank you. And I'm on the hook for the liaison report. I don't have any new stuff to report out of that either. I think I mentioned at the last meeting just the focus on affordable housing and housing in general, and the conversations that we've had between the district and the village. That it's very much on their minds in terms of our picture, in terms of enrollment and what role they can play in bringing more families into the village. So, and surrounding areas, I suppose, as well as on our minds. So, more to come. Dr. Salerno, I believe we have great architects online for our long-range facility plan.
We're in for a great presentation tonight. Let me see if I can get this fired up for us. Hey, how are you doing there, Ryan?
I'm good.
It's nice to see you. You've been working hard on a fantastic presentation with a lot of different pictures. for us, designs, renderings. Take it away.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks everyone for having me this evening. Excited to share our update. We'll start with the maybe less exciting stuff. Just a quick update on schedule. We are about 50% of the way through the construction document phase, and we're approaching our general contractor pre-qualification. So that'll be advertised here shortly, and then we'll send that out next week. As I mentioned, we're about halfway through the construction documents phase, so getting into the weeds, if you will, of the construction document specifications, coordination with engineers. But we are on schedule for issuing to bid first thing in 2026, so making great progress. With school back in session, we've had additional staff engagement, which has been great. We were able to present some of the interior finishes and gather feedback from the subcommittee, as well as have additional meetings with some other user groups. We're going to start the design update as we just click through the site plan and floor plans, which we've got for reference, and start where we left off the last time. So I'm just going to do a quick refresher on some of the background thought that went into some of the material selection, color palette, and that was related to building off some of the Norwegian heritage within the Mount Horeb area school district community, and some of the area geography related to the Sugar River as well as Cave of the Mounds. So we looked at the river as being that circulation element, the cave then as some of our small gathering educational spaces, classrooms, library, etc. And the idea of those spaces occurring along a river. So the circulation representing the river in this motif, and then the caves as our educational spaces. Then we also talked about the field as kind of the gathering space and our cafeteria within the building. And then the civic space or our gymnasium being kind of that grove or clearing within the landscape. And then we looked at our digital finish board, so seeing how some of those thoughts translated into materials. So along the bottom we've got our different carpets, some with some subtle colors in, and kind of our typical gray field color. We've got some homogeneous vinyl tile or HVT, so pulling in some of those natural tones along with some pops of red in strategic locations. And then same thing with our paints, really leaning on some of those natural tones here with the blues, greens, and grays, but pops of that Mount Horeb red in, again, strategic locations. Then we look at some of our casework, playing off of the light wood, bringing in some warmth with some neutral countertops. Similarly, you'll see in the ceiling treatments, we've got a number of areas with some baffles, again, trying to bring in the warmth of the wood look product. And then a couple of kind of more specialized flooring, walk-up carpet tile in our vestibules, and kinetics in some high traffic areas. You can then see how some of those tones were pulled from our landscape elements. So pulling some of the blues and cooler grays from the idea of the river, along with some of our flooring here, and then some of those warmer tones and tans from the cave. Then incorporating some additional green from the grove and the field, along with the blues tying in with the sky. So how does that translate to our building? So before I jump into the renderings, I'm just going to throw out the quick caveat that while our software has advanced a lot, even for those that were part of the previous project at the high school and the middle school, rendering software has come a long way even in the last 8 years, but it is still representational. So there are things that aren't modeled 100% accurately, and things that are still in the works from a design standpoint, but hopefully this gives you a really good idea, like it did with the exterior renderings, of what the project will look like. So we're going to start with a view that you've seen before, and that is our main entry vestibule. So now you're seeing it in color, and so you can see as you enter the building, you're in a taller 2-story space that connects directly to the first floor through the doors in front of us, as well as to the second floor through the windows above. We've incorporated some of those acoustical baffles here to bring in some of those warm tones, as well as some of those more organic forms from the cave idea. We've got a built-in bench here for kiddos that are waiting for parents to get to pick them up, or for gathering ahead of going in or out of the building as a group. And then our red framed entry here is the door into the admin office from our secure vestibule. We also have kind of just on the left side of the image here, that'll be a sliding glass transaction window for any interaction with parents. Say a kid forgets a lunch or something like that, they can interact with staff at the window and don't even need to enter the building. Next, we're going to move into the admin office. You'll see how this red portal element translates into the office. So you can see that extends here. We're showing a TV on the wall for any digital messaging or display. We're working on incorporating the sign-in system that the school is implementing. And then you can see our reception area here. Some waiting area furniture here, and then we've got principal's office back here, and then this is the door into the nurse health room. As we flip around then, now we're kind of behind the reception desk, so this will be that sliding transaction window. Here's our main entry door from the vestibule, and then our main door back out into the school. You'll see red was a strategic choice here since it's the admin office, but we've used a lot of the neutral, calmer colors in the majority of the academic spaces within the building. Next, we're going to move into the kind of commons entry area as if we've just gone through the doors at the end of the secure vestibule. So this, I think, is also a view we saw in white mode a little earlier in the process. So here you're seeing a combination of keeping some of the existing building brick exposed in a few strategic locations. We've got our 2-story communicating stair and our bridge/ramping element going from the existing building into the 2-story portion of the addition. We're suggesting potentially incorporating a water jet logo in the flooring, somewhat similar to at the entry to the high school, although in this case the team's showing a bit more whimsical Viking logo the team has been toying with. Between these doors here is our connection to the existing building on the first floor, and then under here would be your connection to the existing elevator that we're utilizing, and then suggesting an opportunity for some seating element below the stair here as a way to both provide the required blind detection as well as utilize that space. You're seeing some of the same ceiling elements carrying into this space. Some vertical light fixtures that are, loosely reminiscent of some of our, vertical forms that you might see in a cave. And then keeping those second floor windows exposed from the existing building into the new addition with the ability, and you'll see in an upcoming image, to borrow light through the 2-story portion of the addition to maintain daylight into the second-story windows in the existing building. So we've now shifted to the lower portion of the addition. So one of the things that we are achieving within the addition is trying to simplify some of the elevation changes. So in this general zone, this is the main level of entry and the main level of the first floor of the existing building. As you know, on the kind of backside of the existing building, there's a small addition that was put on at one point to ramp down to the lower elevation that the current gym floor is at. So we're accomplishing that with a ramp right here, and then these stairs that both connect you to the second floor and all the way down to the gym, or what will be the new cafeteria level. So we've made up all that change in this zone, and everything then at the lower elevation is now flat. Next, we're going to jump up and we're going to stand up here on the second floor, and we'll be on our connector ramp between the existing second floor and the new second floor of the kindergarten wing. So now we're up close to those acoustical baffles. You can see those existing second floor windows that we're preserving, and the borrowed light, clear story windows that are borrowing light into or through the addition into the existing building to maintain daylight into as many spaces as possible. We have a perforated guardrail, so that will be somewhat similar to the guardrail on the stair at the art and science rooms in the high school, so providing some visibility, but also some degree of privacy to avoid kiddos trying to talk to each other between levels. Next, we're going to spin around here. We'll be at the top of our communicating stair. So now we're looking down at the lower level portion of the addition. So to the right here, you're catching just a glimpse of the windows into the cafeteria. And then along the left, we have some student support team members, as well as the staff lounge and workroom. And here you can really see those clear story windows bringing a lot of daylight into this center space within the building. Next, we're going to make our way down the stairs, and we're going to be standing at the bottom here looking towards the cafeteria. So far you've seen a lot of the neutral tones, the kind of lighter flooring here with the blue speckles is kind of our wayfinding element representative of that river element within the motif. Along the cafeteria, or what's the current gym, you're seeing, again, exposing that existing brick to maintain some of that character, but we're adding a lot of windows along this wall here, the south wall of the current gym, to, again, borrow light into the cafeteria and really enhance this space along here. We're not going to enter the cafeteria through this door. We're actually going to make our way down the current corridor that would take you to the gym. So you can see kind of the path that students will take to get into the cafeteria. So we're replacing the flooring in that existing corridor. This door here is essentially where one of the doors into the gym is today. We're adding, a hand washing station off the corridor so that kids are able to wash their hands on the way into the servery without needing to go into a restroom. And then we have a door directly into the servery from the corridor, so we'll be able to do a lot of that queuing for the lunch line in this corridor and save some of that queuing from taking place in the cafeteria to try to limit the congestion in there. So now we're going to go into the cafeteria. Hopefully it doesn't look like the current gym. So this is the current gym transformed into the new cafeteria. Here you can see we're pulling in a lot of those green tones from that field idea. You can see the idea of kind of rolling hills, the tree canopy and the ceiling panels transitioning into the sky and clouds. Down here, you're seeing those windows out to the corridor of the addition. One of the really exciting things about how the project has developed overall is based on the floor area of the existing building and the new addition, and the fact that the existing building is sprinklered, we don't have to have any firewall separations, which really gives us a lot more flexibility to preserve those windows you saw into the existing building on the second floor, as well as add all of these windows without needing to have fire-rated glass or some of those expensive types of elements. We're bringing in a lot of daylight through these clear stories up high, these windows here, adding a very tall window and exit door here in the end, and then an additional window on the west wall of the cafeteria. One thing that developed through the course of our work with our engineers is our structural engineer evaluated the west wall of the current gym and determined that based on its construction, we couldn't add additional openings beyond the openings that are there currently. And so we did shift a bit of our daylighting strategy to focus more on the south instead of the west as we had initially thought we might. Now we're going to spin around and stand over here and look kind of back towards the serving wall. Oh, sorry. So here you're seeing the coiling door that would be open with access from the servery during the lunch hour. We've got a couple of built-in sinks and cabinets for tray return and kind of getting rid of the mess as they take their trays back to the dish window here. You can see the flooring pattern meant to provide some interest in wayfinding, as well as now you can get a better look at some of those ceiling panels. And then as we spin around, you're seeing, looking back towards where we were originally standing. So here is that door into the cafeteria that we saw in the corridor, and then there's another door directly into the servery. Along here we have 4 single occupant toilet rooms to provide restroom facilities directly off the cafeteria, as well as a drinking fountain. But we feel like this will be a really bright, exciting space for our K through 2nd kids to have lunch. And hopefully it's a very inviting space and stark transformation from the current gym, which is always exciting as part of these types of renovation projects. So now we've kind of jumped to the other end of the addition. These doors here in the background there are the doors from our entry vestibule into the addition. So this is our drinking fountain and our set of toilet rooms on the way to the first floor kindergarten wing, as well as providing public access for those that are using the gymnasium. We've taken the approach of having hand washing visible from the corridor from a supervision standpoint. We do still have 1 sink in each side of the restrooms for privacy. This provides, again, ease of hand washing and supervision for the restroom facilities. We're now going to spin to our left. And so we're looking at the doors into the kindergarten wing here, and then our doors into the new gymnasium. So we're going to go into there next. In the gym, this is 2 regulation sized basketball courts. We also have, you can see volleyball nets there. We're providing 4 divider curtains so that there's a lot of flexibility for the teachers as far as how they divide the space up for PE, as well as for any type of tournament environment or competition. We're providing the Lou interactive system here with the projector and the wall-mounted equipment, as well as a rock climbing wall. We'll have bleachers on both sides with approximately 140 to 150 seats per court. We're bringing in daylighting up high on the north and the east. And then in this space, we did obviously add the pops of color, again, bringing in the Mount Horeb red, as well as pulling in some neutral tones, kind of representative of those trees and stones and things from the grove in our motif. Next, we're shifting to the kindergarten wings, and we're going to do the first floor first and then jump up to the second floor. The difference here is really we're focusing on blue tones on the first floor and green tones on the second floor, wanting to have some differentiation from a wayfinding standpoint. And then you'll see the green and blue tones change as we make our way down the corridor as well, trying to implement, again, some wayfinding on each floor. And so here's where we're going from kind of with our same river element to our little cave areas, if you will, at the entries to the classroom, so differentiating those, and then similar treatment at the next set of classrooms at our cubby alcoves, and then we get to the end of the corridor and we've got our darker blue again, with the similar ceiling treatment of wood accents, framing our classroom entries and our cubby alcoves. So kind of a regular rhythm as you make your way down the corridors. On the second floor, then you can see how we've incorporated the green tones in the same fashion. On the second floor, we'll also have borrowed light windows looking down into the gymnasium. So adding some interest along the corridor that connects from our common space to the kindergarten wing. Second floor bathroom, similar treatment, just with that green accent of tiles, but still the easy supervision of the hand washing stations. And then this is our kind of collaborative zone as we connect from our ramp element out in the commons, connecting to the second floor of the existing building. As we connect on the second floor, we also have behind us off the image a small group space as well. We're also looking at opportunities for either little niches or ways to display student work. So we're still working through whether this is a tackleable surface or a writable surface, but thinking about both active instruction as well as displaying work that students are producing. Then this is the next two images are of our typical classrooms. So the preference of the teachers here was to lean on our neutral gray tones in the finishes, knowing that each teacher will have various things posted on the wall, and you'll have furniture in these spaces, so opportunities to add pops of color with different materials that will be on the walls and potentially in the furniture in these spaces. We're providing a nice amount of storage casework and tack surface in each classroom near the entry. We'll have some additional tack surface on some of the side walls. Each classroom has an individual bathroom and a shared storage room that can double as breakout space. As we spin around then and look at the front of the room, we're bringing in daylight through our windows here. We'll have whiteboards and technology. We're transitioning from a hard surface flooring, that HVT tile at the casework sink and bathroom, so that if there's any wetness, we can account for that, and then transitioning to carpet in the main learning area. That wraps up our rendering tour. With that, we can shift to an update from Steve and the team regarding the school name.
Ryan, those renderings are absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for all that you've done to help facilitate conversations with our faculty and staff who've been part of the building design team. Board members, maybe before we launch into the next part of this, if there are any questions about what you've observed or things that came up with?
First of all, those are awesome.
Yeah.
I have one question.
Please.
We have sinks on a hard surface floor with high traffic heading to the lunch area. Is that right? Was that a choice that was made intentionally by the, I just know that my senior in high school and my freshman in college they still play in water like they're 3 years old. So I'm just curious.
I thought the same thing.
That was, I don't know.
Yes, I guess to answer your question, that is true. We do have, this is the same homogeneous vinyl tile flooring. We have implemented this on a number of other projects, and it is popular, especially with teachers, because kids can wash their hands without having to do the back and forth with the bathrooms. We obviously have the benefit of our bathrooms having outward facing hand washing in the other areas as well. But I assume you're maybe asking through the lens of water getting on the floor.
Yes, the safety question, yes.
Yeah, it's a fair question. I can certainly talk to our interiors team about if we'd want to transition to a different flooring, perhaps. I will say the HVT is a bit more slip resistant than like a BCT, which is that, high wax kind of sheen finish, or gloss finish, I should say. But certainly still something to be cognizant of, and maybe a bit of an operational thing.
I'm just trying to remember now, in the primary center, David, I don't mean to put you on the spot, we do have the VCT, don't we, on the floor in the primary center where the kids go to the restrooms?
Yeah, the hallway.
Hallway
The
does.
hallway where the water fountains are.
Okay.
Yeah, in the toilet rooms proper there, ceramic tile.
And we have the Dyson where they put their hands in
Yeah.
there, and then that's, you kind of
Yeah.
put it all over.
Separate.
And I don't think we've had it.
Okay.
But I just think your questions.
I was just curious.
We should check into it.
Yeah.
Or if you need like some sort of mat.
Like
Yeah,
mat.
we have put mats underneath
Okay.
water areas, so that we're used to that. Yeah.
Or a drain in the floor there.
So we built the school or a barn?
We do have walk-off carpet shown. It's just kind of right in this corner of the image here. So that's a bit more gritty carpet. It's usually made from like recycled plastic or tires or something like that. So it is resistant to water and any type of dirt and things like that. We could potentially consider extending that further, because that would at least not create pools or something if somebody did spill some water. So we can work with Dave, but I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, I don't want to belabor the point. I'm going to leave that to
Well,
professionals.
Especially outside the lunchroom, like they've got their lunch and whatever, and then they wash their hands, and then I know what my bathroom looks like most of the time, so, yeah.
That's the kind of questions we welcome. So if there's others or other observations, please let us know. We have our next building design team meeting, that's all virtual, I believe, this Thursday at 10 a.m. And it's open to the public, by the way. So if you like what you see here, come on back. We'll keep on working on it. One of the things that we are working on that Brian helped us kind of get a feel for had to do with naming.
Before we move
Oh,
on,
please,
can
go
I
ahead.
I had one more general question that, when we first looked at the colors and the schemes, the design scheme last time, I just had the colors in mind, but it's clear that you've actually thought about actual materials, carpet types, floor types, that sort of thing. I'm just wondering if you can speak to the ease of maintenance on that compared to what we're currently doing, the ease of replacing when things get worn out, that kind of thing. Like it's gorgeous, it looks beautiful, and then I see like these flowing blue things, and I'm like, ooh, what happens when that breaks?
Sure. So I'll maybe hit on the flooring first. So the HVT is a through body tile product. So that means that the color goes through the whole tile, but it doesn't have to be stripped and waxed like VCT does. So that will ease the maintenance in the summers as far as Dave and his team not needing to strip and wax. There's obviously still maintenance to it. We're specifying tiles, not a sheet good, so that if something does get damaged or need to be replaced, you can pop a single tile and replace it, as opposed to cutting out an area and having to heat weld it or have a seam. We're working through, like I mentioned, kind of the locations for that walk-off tile. So that's a more heavy-duty carpet, both through the lens of getting dirt and salt and things off of shoes at entries, as well as resisting moisture and other things. Obviously, in Wisconsin, when there's a lot of moisture rot in the building in the winter with snow and whatnot. So being thoughtful about that. Similarly, that's what we're putting at the cubby alcoves is that's where the Kinetics product that I mentioned is. So that's kind of a hybrid between regular carpet and I'll say walk off. It's a horizontal weave and it resists moisture. So that's really good in an environment where you're going to have kiddos putting boots and things like that, but it's clean like a carpet. So you can use hot water extraction to pull that off of the product. And then from a acoustical standpoint, and I think you were maybe referencing the ceiling, being thoughtful about keeping things like this out of reach of little hands, and thinking about some of the tactile things where the hands would be. We've even had conversations around our wall colors and things like that, knowing that that's very common, especially at the K through 2 age level. And then with regards to some of our acoustical panels and things like that, again, most of these would be like a fabric wrapped acoustical panel, but again, keeping those up higher where people won't be able to touch them. Typically, you can also, if you need to, vacuum those if you ever wanted to get like dust off or something like that. Just kind of flipping through. We're typically providing a tile at all the restrooms, so that provides better, easier cleaning. We're working with Dave on what those tiles are. We've talked already about this maybe shows a light colored grout, using appropriate colors of grout so that it doesn't look dirty after the first week, things like that. Let's see. And then in the classrooms, we've had some conversations with staff about the different countertop products, I should say, especially in locations with sinks. So we're working through what the final solution for the casework and countertops will be as well. Does that hit on your question?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
I would have a follow-up. I would have a follow-up on the lunchroom.
Yeah.
What about the acoustic dampening of those baffles that you have there? Are those kind of dampen the sound as well? Because I know that's
correct.
About in a lot of our lunchrooms it's just loud.
Yes, so we are working with both the ceiling panels that you're seeing there, as well as some of the wall treatment. These panels here are also acoustical panels on the wall, kind of working our way up. Again, being cognizant of, we're kind of keeping them above that 7 foot or 8 foot datum to keep them out of reach of little hands. But otherwise, yes, we are working on acoustical treatment, certainly in the cafeteria that can get a little noisy at lunch. So appreciate you asking that.
Ryan, you mentioned that regulation basketball courts. Does that translate to 84 in that space?
Translate to, sorry, Adam, what was that?
The length of it?
Yeah, so both courts are 50 feet wide by 84 long, so regulation high school size.
Yep. Okay, great.
Yeah, so a little larger than maybe our typical elementary competition would be, but gives you the flexibility as a district to use it kind of across the board.
Yeah, that's nice. I did have a question just to get my head around usage on the bathrooms with like that complimentary area. I was going through my head, I think number one, like kids in K through 2 are both coachable and obedient. So, but the common entryway, to get in, and I'm just thinking about like the setback to the sink and where they're sort of guided, where to go directionally on that. What experiences you've had there?
Yeah, we've implemented this type of solution in quite a few schools. The one thing that we aren't showing currently, but did discuss, was the potential for some signage or kind of wayfinding. Maybe it's like more of a pictorial wayfinding within these wood areas to help guide students. So we are thinking about that as far as kind of clarity of which side students should be using. But yeah, generally I'm not aware of any major issues. I will say it's probably a new one for community members coming to use the gym, perhaps to have the majority of these things on the outside. But yeah, especially at the elementary level, it's very popular from the standpoint of there's less area where you can't see the kids and supervise, as you're cycling kids through the restroom. And this was a arrangement that the staff saw at multiple schools when we went on tours at the beginning of the design phase. So it's something that they really liked on the tours where they saw it, and were really excited for us to be able to utilize on your project.
Great. Yeah, I do love that visibility.
Are we gonna be updating the classrooms that already exist? Right, so in the PC, the classrooms that already exist, are those gonna stay the colors and everything that they are, or are they gonna get?
Great question. Yeah, they're going to be the same as we've got now. We provided the budget permits. We also want to address some of the issues with like the laminate on where the kids' cubbies are at right now. That's part of our budget. Maybe some of the tile flooring.
Say, I know there's at least one classroom that's got, it's not bad, but it's like, if you stick a marble, it just,
Yeah.
it's not horrible,
You
but it's
feel
just
the
a
creak.
little off kilter. So, I was just
Where the
curious.
stairwell used to be.
Yeah, all the stairwells will get some love too, yeah.
Okay.
If you sit on the bottom of the classroom, all the knowledge rolls down.
I like it.
Real good, right there.
Really, I tripped once up in the classroom and went, what's wrong with my feet? And she's like, the floor's just a little curved. I was like, okay.
Love these questions. How about others? Well, we have Ryan here with us.
You must have been busy with crayons, Ryan. Well done.
Thank you. I definitely can't take the credit, so I will pass along the feedback to our team. Thank you.
One of the pieces that we had been talking a little bit about is what do we do with the name, since we're taking the Early Learning Center and the Primary Center and bringing it into one area, one home. And so you may have seen that we sent out a message to all of our families as well as our faculty and staff. We had 189 respondents from our families and 34 from our faculty and staff. And never would I have thought this would they'd all have the same answer, but the vast majority, by quite a bit, all came to the same solution. And so we're proposing to the Board of Education consideration of Mount Horeb Elementary School, as opposed to using the words primary or early learning and the word center. They felt like it was a new branding. And then this got, if this were to meet with the board's approval, this got the intermediate center thinking, well, you know, we're the only school that's a center. Should we maybe consider a school? So we'll certainly start having those conversations if it's appropriate to do so. I have checked in with the good folks at the DPI and asked them what does it take to change the name of a school, and it's actually quite simple. First, if you are inclined to do so, then we would just put it on a future agenda for the board to take formal action. But we thought we'd just let it ruminate with you a little bit. We gave 3 options, and they were all pretty much the same. Maybe you saw the survey itself and you participated in the survey. But we think it's a nice way to blaze us into our next trails. So, any thoughts there? Mount Horeb Elementary School.
That's what people want. Sounds great to me.
Yeah.
I did suggest the Rachel Johnson for the chronically gifted children school, but somehow they weren't.
Nice.
I was gonna propose Lipscomb Elementary.
There you go.
It wasn't on the list. It wasn't on the list.
Bring it.
We had one.
Yeah, there's some way to make that happen.
I think we have the advertising guy.
Yes, yep. I didn't have the 1.8 billion, I can't help it.
And Ryan, if I seem to remember, there was another slide in the deck too, wasn't there? As you know, we will be touching every building during the summer of 2027, whether it be small in terms of some roofing at the intermediate center, one-day intermediate school, or doing some tuck pointing at the high school around our brick, and then some extensive work here in this building in restrooms and classroom spaces, and then of course any of the work that needs to be done between the primary center and then the decommission of the early learning center. And so we've been asked by our good friends at Bray, and as they get ready to take our general contractor bidding paperwork out to the streets. What could we do in terms of our schedule? And later on in today's agenda, we'll ask the board to please consider one of two options that have been vetted through some community members and through staff members. But just wanted you to understand the rationale behind why there was a need to revisit and rethink about the 26-27 school year. Ryan, would there be anything you'd want to add to that, or does that capture the need?
No, I think you summarized it well, Steve. I mean, that last summer of the construction will be the busiest with some of the heavy renovation at the primary center especially. So the more we can do that without kids in the building, the easier it'll be for everyone. So appreciate you considering it.
With that, any final questions for the Honorable Ryan Sands, Vice President of Bray Architects? Well, we end where we began, in gratitude to you for the good work that you and your team continue to do. We look forward to seeing you come this Thursday morning at 10 o'clock.
Sounds good. Well, thank you everyone again for having me. It's always exciting to share the progress, but especially when we have 3D renderings, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next month.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Bye.
Excellent. We're on to 6C, our summer capital project updates. Hey, Mr. Dave.
All right. Just a little side note, if you want to see the walk-off carpet that they are proposing, kinetics carpet, you can see that at this building in the vestibule and in the office and at the high school. The high school vestibule has the walk-off carpet and the kinetics carpet. It's top-notch stuff. It really is. It wears like iron and does resist water pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with those choices for sure.
Steve, did you put images that are 4,000 DPI resolution in here? This thing
I
is-
don't know. I even sent those out to Chelsea in hope that she just edits them down.
So good. I'm like, what is taking?
Yeah, I hope it isn't 1.21 gigabytes or whatever.
Holy smokes, okay. I got it now, it's all good. Steve can't open it.
Yeah, I can't.
No.
I gotta get some memory going here. Thanks for your patience. That's not what I wanted to open. Here we go.
Not nearly as exciting.
Well, thank you for that. Well, if you find paving and then striping parking lots exciting,
I love when you spend my money.
that's my world, baby.
I was worried that it was gonna crash during the call, so. Yes,
Made it through.
Dave, you did such a super job. You and your team were so busy. Let's take a look at these.
Yeah, so, back in April, we talked about what the capital maintenance budget would be, $230,000 that we use for upgrading and fixing up across the district. Just to remind you, just a few years ago, it was only $100,000. We spread the peanut butter pretty thin, thanks to you guys, get more peanut butter spread. I'll tell you, it's not enough, but it certainly goes a much longer way. So thank you for that. Is this the beginning of the slideshow?
Yes,
Yeah, okay. So one of the things, this is a 9-year culmination of wanting to have a sign at the bus garage. We would have to explain to people where we were, what we were. It's the green burgundy building, and so now we have a sign out front there, and it matches exactly what we have at the district office, and it's exciting. We go to having this branding, and having this sign, this look across town, so people know that, oh yeah, this is a Baldwin School District facility. So it's a step in the right direction for sure. More exciting stuff here. This is the bus loop at the IC was in need of some patching, seal coating, and restriping. Every year we like to get that fresh so the kids, bus drivers know where to park, the kids can find their buses easily enough, things like that. In the right-hand corner there, that is what used to be the butterfly garden. There was a couple big gardens at the end of that building that were untended and pretty poor repair. So there was a frog pond on the other side of that bump out, and then this butterfly garden. And Principal Huggy had been asking for some time when we get those things going, and because they were unsightly, and I don't have the manpower time to keep them up. So now they're gone. I know at one point we had talked about creating some sort of outdoor learning pavilion in one of these spaces. That's still available, but that's just a dream at this point. Other things, again, Principal Huggy had approached me about putting in a sidewalk that connected the, I would call it the service driveway back there by the dumpsters to the front parking lot. There are a lot of kids come out from the playground or go to the playground when they get there in the morning. So happy to help her, make it possible for kids to transition through there safely. Oh, here's the middle school. We did some more work around the front sign. We incorporated a couple trees that we put into the landscaping there, and then did some more top dressing and stuff to the word zhuzh up the front of the building. I inherited that word from one of my daughters. She uses it liberally. Another thing that we've been trying to get at for quite a while is new partitions in the restrooms. Those are 1993 originals, and you can imagine the condition that they were in at this point. And I want to point out, so the cost of the partitions is pretty substantial. For this building, it was $17,000. We went with a heavier duty hybrid kind of thing. What I want to point out is that we're installing them in-house. Right? In order for us to fit them into the budget and spread the money out further, Sergio Sanchez, who's the head custodian here, and his team have been picking away at a couple of restrooms at a time, and they've done a great job of installing them. And it just makes the money go further. To have them installed would be probably in the $45,000 range. So again, it goes a long way when we can do the work ourselves in-house. So again, Principal Christensen was very excited to have these things in there. And if he would rather have had them done over the course of the summer, but I just didn't have the bandwidth to get them done in time. So we're going to keep making away at it. More middle school things. You may see this thing sitting out there. That's a dust collection system that has been, it's certainly something that I support as being a former tech ed teacher, or recovering tech ed teacher, as it were. Again, this is something that we decided that we were going to bite off and try to do in-house. Upwards of $200,000 for one of these. If you have Navi put it in, we'll get this installed for around $30,000. So a vast savings. The problem is that I have to kind of engineer how it goes. You might imagine where the hole goes through the concrete, the brick wall was a big concern for me. I had measured twice, cursed once, But at any rate, so we actually hit it right on the money. So I'm very happy that we're kind of through the critical stage, if you will, and then we'll just be adding the ductwork inside, hooking up the machines. And I have to say that Tom Butasov, who's the tech ed teacher here, has been very patient with me. And he knows it's coming. It just takes some time.
I was talking to some middle school kids at lunch the other day, and they said, Dr. Sawyer, when are they going to turn on the ice cream machine?
Those light spreads out there rumor with the basketball game this summer. They saw it sit there and they asked, what is that? It's an ice cream machine. The middle school has an ice cream machine? How did that happen? So yes, yeah, but we'll just continue that on for sure. As long as it's sawdust flavored ice cream.
Well, I know he was having to empty out the one in his classroom like almost every day.
Yeah,
I told him he should try to bribe kids for silver cord at that point to come and like unload it. 'Cause
yeah,
it
and having the filtration actually occur outside the building as opposed to in the space you're at is certainly huge. So yeah, I'm excited to get it done. We're certainly making progress on it for sure. High school, a couple 3 upgrades there. We went through and restriped all the parking lots. We numbered and lettered them all so the kiddos can see where they need to park. The one in the lower middle is a culmination of a project that started last year. Wanted that new fence along there. Don't know how it got past me, but they're coming down to the end. I'm like, oh, if they put the fence up, the hydrant's going to be on the wrong side of the fence. The fire department's not going to be happy with me. And it required a retaining wall to actually make that happen. So that retaining wall got put in this summer, the fence finished up. And certainly it's a much nicer looking setup back there. So, and we love the guardrail setup. That's certainly an upgrade for sure. And then the upper left is a air conditioning system for the 8th Street Cafe. Another one of those, I didn't realize that was going to be a thing. The air conditioning for that space is the same here as the Commons. And the thermostat for the Commons says it's really cold here because the door's open all the time and the heat just keeps pumping into that room. So now we have an air conditioning. Plus there's coolers and chillers and things like that in there to keep food cold. So it was a much needed upgrade for the people that actually have to work in there.
What did you do in the south parking lot?
Oh, that's just restriping and lettering. Yeah, we made sure that all the kiddos could find their parking spots. I found it funny that, you know, I did get shown this one particular stall that was, you couldn't see the letters. Yep, she can, she says no, but the one next to it and the one on the other side are clearly legible. And one of you understand that if this is 59 and that's 61, this is, I wasn't a math teacher, but
You're teaching critical thinking, right?
and it's fine.
Double C.
It must be 8 or something, I don't know. But it's fine. It was, I found a new vendor that's very reasonable, so I'm very happy. Especially your comment about having to spend all this money on payment. Well, we keep searching for vendors that can give us a good product at a better price. So we definitely found a better vendor for this sort of thing. So save a little money.
Well, Dave, I can't thank you enough for your coordination skills, but then that of using the time and talents of our employees and maximizing that, like you did with the bathrooms and Sergio.
Yeah, it was, you're welcome. And it was very helpful for us to hire a former carpenter as a custodian. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm a former carpenter too, but I'm an old former carpenter, so I don't move as fast as I used to. And it is a team effort. It does take my grounds guys, my buildings guys to get some of these sites knocked out. Now this isn't the end of it. We're still surging in with some things. For me, my main is trying to find a glass contractor that wants to work. So I've got some glass that needs to be repaired. We'll keep slogging away at the list.
So is there anything on the list that's kind of rising to the top? Because this was, if I recall the list at the beginning of the summer, this was pretty much it. There wasn't a ton.
There's more. There's certainly more. I wish I had that list in front of me. I've got this much done, but there's certainly other things that the atrium glass. There's some doors that I want to get replaced too. There have been some things that have come up that I went, oh, didn't expect that to come along, so we have to push some things back a year. To your comment about where summer school, the summer school thing, I had kind of hoped to put some new carpet in at the IC, but I think the IC is on the hook to be the summer school. So once again, best laid plans of mice and men get messed up, and we'll just push things around and we'll work what we can and get what we can done. So, yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, if there are any questions about this, I mean, you can see this stuff around there. It's such a help to have this fund to do this work. I mean, I was just excited about it. It's that time of year when I go to K&A on the last day and buy up a bunch of their trees at 75% off, So that's on my list of things to get done every year as well. So.
Well, every day in the summer, I take the list and I walk around the school. Just want to make sure.
Right, okay.
Looks great.
Well, thank you all so very much.
Yeah. Dave, are you sticking around for the calendar discussion?
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, that's great,
That's
because
good.
that'll save it for them.
Perfect.
Awesome. We are on to the triple header here of the information and advocacy reports. We have the post-secondary course, percentage of students, and then taking an AP or IB test, and then receiving the post-secondary credit for all of these.
Multiple apps.
Sarah's.
I don't know if I went in order on the report, but you mind if I go in order?
Go in order of your presentation, it's all put together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Well, as Adam said, this report really focuses on how we are preparing students for college and career, looking at all those post-secondary assessments, measures, and opportunities our students have. So I will just go and highlight a couple things within this report because there are a lot of graphs, and the graphs hopefully are pretty easily readable. You can see some things, but overall, about 1/3 of our kids take an AP course in any given year, which is pretty neat to see. Many kids take multiple AP courses during the school year. And our course enrollment, which is the first table, has been up and down depending on what happens each year, the past 5 years, 6 years, it seems like. But we seem to be stabilizing at about that 1/3% of kids taking an AP course. Now we get to add the IB piece. This is newer. There's not much yet to give. So I broke it down a little bit more in table 2, looking at the students this year who are taking our sports, exercise, and health sciences class. We have 11th and 12th graders, and we looked at gender in this case. Because the gender piece is actually pretty telling across the board, whether you look at the personal and professional skills course, and then you're looking at how many students are taking both. It's very female dominant right now. So we are aware of that and scratching our heads and thinking how to continue to market the course for all. Craig Smith will be with you all next board meeting in October, or in October board meeting, I should say, to share more information about how IB is going. So I don't want to steal his thunder, but I just want to give a teaser of some of the information there. When we think about the second indicator, looking at the percent of students actually taking the exams, right? So students can take a course, that's the first indicator. Second indicator, then the percent taking the test and then passing the test, essentially. Table 3 looks at that exam participation, and we actually have the highest participation that we've had in the past 6 years. And I think back going historically even further past 1920, I would say probably in the last 10 years as well. So more students are taking the exams as well. When we think about the breakdown, I'm not going to go into those demographics, but again, that gender piece does stand out to me in table 4 with 60% of students who are female participating in the exams as well. Dr. Salerno, I believe, in a weekly update to the board, just so the public knows, we get to indicator 5. Those are students now, they've taken the course, they've taken the test, how many are receiving credit? And that's where we get to indicator 5, looking at the percentages of students who are passing the AP exam, usually at 3 or higher, and we're at 85% of our student of the population taking the test. See, you might go up to that part.
Oh, yes.
Yep, you're good. So we can see over time, we had a dip in that 21 school year. Thank you. But it was steadily increasing now to 85% of our students getting 3 or higher. So it's nice to see that upward trajectory for our students. Make that bigger, and it's a small graphic.
That's great.
But really celebrating the individual courses. When we look at the last 3 columns, the third to last, that's the Mount Horeb success rate. Second to last is that Wisconsin AP success rate and the global success rate. Our staff and our students are just doing spectacular. You can see in many courses, 100% success rate. The students are getting at a 3 or higher. So kudos to our staff, kudos to our students for just buckling down and doing what they need to do to be successful. Any questions on the AP or IB before we take a brief turn to dual credit?
One area that we did not perform commensurate with the other test areas was our physics, as you'll see. And you may recall last year about this time, or the beginning of the year, or was it 2 years ago?
No, last year January.
Time flies.
Well, okay, well, there's a couple things going on.
Yeah.
So last year we started the school year. No, 2 years ago, you're right. It depends on which one we're talking about.
Yeah.
2 years ago,
Yeah.
we started without a teacher, and they took online physics. This past school year, we had 24-25, we had a physics teacher through the first half of the year for the first semester. But they had a new opportunity and left us in January-ish. And we had a long-term sub finish up with the students as well. So I'm thoroughly impressed with our students performed as they did, despite where they had some challenges with, where we had some challenges with staffing.
Continuity wise, and now with the good doctor there, I'm confident that our kids will,
Dr. Schmidt, yeah. So,
trajectory.
yeah, we are in a great spot for AP teachers, but we're in a great spot with staffing. Knock on wood. Right now, too.
Sarah, one question for you, just related to the gender disparity that you put up there. Is that, do you know how many, like the percentage, how that equates to college-bound kids though? Like, is that basically equivalent to, the percentage of boys that are headed to college?
Versus females? I don't know
Right,
the answer.
right. Because it would make sense if you're on that track or not on that track, that you would.
I'm trying to think when I do the post-secondary report. In the spring, I do that, I mean, anymore. I probably could look at gender to see how many are going to public, private, 4-year, 2-year. I could probably easily look at that.
Okay.
And maybe Dr. Shannon could share it.
Yeah.
Updated?
Take a note of that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
I
figure out
think
how
I
to
can
beat
easily
ourselves
look.
up over it.
Unless I
versus
count one by
that's
one. If
just-
I count one by one, you still want to know?
I think you would go one by one.
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay, just
It's part
clarify.
of the tracking.
I can do
So,
it,
Yeah,
but-
no,
okay.
that's okay.
Okay.
You need to know.
And you don't necessarily need to go back to this, but I'm also curious, you all did survey the students. So was it more females than male students said that they were interested in this pathway? Like that would be.
Oh,
I mean, I also just think about like the picture on the district website of the host.
Most of it's, I would say.
Almost all female students? Yeah, so I mean, there might just be a sense that that's a female class. Do you know what I mean? Like that we might just need to do some more educating.
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting phenomenon.
On table 2, how do we have a senior doing a 2-year course?
Oh, yeah.
I was just
How do
curious.
you have a senior in a 2-year
Yeah, it
course?
says, as students work through this 2-year program, more information. Did we just let some people in just because it was a good class,
There was-
fit their schedule well?
There was an opening at that time.
Got it, okay.
The course hadn't filled up yet. And as course programming was occurring, seniors were placed in. Yep. As Mr. Smith may talk about in his presentation, I'm going to steal his thunder again, but talking about next steps and thinking about how we position students and the messaging there as we learn after our first year. Also learning about what course prerequisites we may want to have to set people up, set students up for success, especially for sports, health, and entertainment fun. Sports, health, fun, entertainment.
Exercise.
Exercise, we have sports and
Can be
entertainment.
entertaining
class.
too.
So yes, so that's how that picture went.
And then Carly asked this question, I think the last time we saw this report, about the reasons why students don't take the test, that do the AP work but don't take the test, and making sure that it's not something simple that we can solve, as making sure it's not financially motivated or something like that.
No, I know that language is there, that language piece. I've seen the school counseling newsletters about scholarships and pieces are there. Some kids just want to do it to learn, and they need to take a test, or the institution are going to. May not accept that, or they need a 4 or 5, and those kinds of things.
As you-
Kids are getting savvier with, do I really need to do this? And they do their homework.
As
Or
you-
they panic and decide they don't want
Yeah.
to take the test.
Well, the problem is they're panicking in September. So, because that's when the $70 is due, that's when it's made. And that's,
Yeah, and if they panic closer to the test, you only get half your money back.
oh, these guys. No.
I know.
Okay. Again, just wanted to
Yes,
make sure that
thank
it
you.
was for
That's a good reminder always.
solid reasons.
Yep. Move on to dual credit? Okay. So dual credit, a smaller section on that. I always like to provide the courses that we have for dual credit, and typically we have agreements with MC, which is Madison College. But we do have a couple of agreements with Black Hawk Tech, and one agreement actually for our CAP program with Oshkosh for that Spanish 5 class. So just want to provide the board over time for the 6 years that the last 6 years we've been offering dual credit for many years prior to that. But with dual credit pieces and how we've been adding on a few classes here or there, and that's been our goal to grow it. But we also know in some of these areas, some of these staff members, particularly in CTE, are already teaching multiple classes. So we only have so much bandwidth to keep adding and adding and adding. Additionally, the requirements from the Higher Ed Commission 5-6 years ago, I don't say made it harder, but made it challenging for staff members to sometimes teach dual credit because you really need a master's or you need work experience in that area. So I'm really proud of the staff who have been going out and doing this and getting those things done in order to increase our dual credit for classes.
Do we ever work with the university to determine which ones of these they will take? Because like, for example, Ryan at Whitewater, he took college reading right, he got 6 credits, they don't transfer to Whitewater. So I'm just curious, like, if we know some of those things, do we know? Not that he would have still taken the class, but like, do we know like some of these that the UW systems will take and which ones they won't?
There are, and then in the transcript, students can go online and look at what credits or what universities take transfer credits and things like that. So there is that out there. I don't give you language that teachers say, yes, you can get in these institutions. But always, students always reach out to Madison College, and Madison College will have that information as well.
Okay. And students do the enrolling for the dual credit, like, in the class with the teacher?
Often,
Unless they're sick and then their mom has to try to do it for them with no clue what's happening.
But I guess that raises the question in the process, so why isn't it automatic that if you're applying for dual credit that you wouldn't check to see if those credits would be taken at a list of 5 schools you're considering?
I don't think every student necessarily knows what schools they're gonna go to. Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But not like my team. He knew exactly what he was doing. It's going so smooth.
Crystal ball is our first time.
The worst is it's the title of the class that he has to take is the exact same name of the class, and he's like, I'm pretty sure I took this class.
That's frustrating.
He's gonna ace it, though.
That's what I told him.
Right.
Should be fairly easy then.
You guys gotta pay for it, right? Yeah.
Well, that's just it.
I've always tried to, even with my children, emphasize the experience of the learning piece and the rigor of it. You get the credit great, but you learn a lot more in the work habits and pieces.
I mean, more than double that.
Our team's been putting concerted effort. And we see it in the popularity of our CT enrollment, our courses, and our staffing. It's busting, the scene, which is great. So, really in closing, the addition of our IB program, the expansion of our dual credits just really broadens those post-secondary experiences for our kids to make sure that they can hit the pathway that they want to be. That's it.
Any other questions? All right, thanks, Sarah.
For next one.
Okay, we've got a couple of action items tonight, a few action items tonight. First one up is our second reading of revisions to board policy number 860, visitors to schools and school property. Dr. Salerno.
Thank you, board members, for the feedback you provided during our last meeting. I think I've been able to capture the feedback that you supplied in the drafts that you see. I'm happy to answer any questions or if you'd like to offer any other suggestions for improvement.
I like how it was bulleted out, it made much more sense.
Two small things that I might
Please.
throw out there. One was the graph that begins, a person is not allowed. I'm just wondering if we want to put that verb in before a school-sponsored event. It could also be disrupts again, but just since we have the sequence of verbs there.
So could you say that again, please? So this one?
Yeah, so it's got, person substantially disrupts the educational missions of the schools, disrupts the school-sponsored event, and/or poses a threat. Just so that there's a verb on that middle.
Okay. Person substantially disrupts the education. Or You would like the word disrupts?
I feel like disrupts could just be used there again. I know that was the intent, but.
Thank you.
Right before the A.
Before the
Yeah,
A.
before the A.
Okay. Disrupts. Like that?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then there was like, how close that was going to be. On the paragraph starting in the event, maybe a threat to the safety of others. I'm trying to see exactly, oh, it's the third to last line on the left side, threat to the safety.
To the safety, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah. That's all I have.
I do think where you have the superintendent has the authority to determine, I do think you, Steve, you probably should put in and/or assigned individual. I know we talked about it last time, but I'm just thinking in the event that you or another superintendent, for whatever reason, can't be there to make that choice.
No, I think
Well,
it's in the
it's
first.
It's
I
up.
think if you go up, it's the first
Yeah.
reference to what superintendent.
Yeah, up further.
Yeah.
Further even.
Right there, where it
Yeah,
says the
that's all.
superintendent has the authority to determine if their presence will be allowed and under what conditions.
One more paragraph up.
Yeah, just above the,
it's so color-coded.
God's thing, I know.
Yeah. Where am I?
I know we talked about it last time, that this
Yeah,
really
it's that
should
one.
rest with you, which it should,
Yeah.
but we need to have it out there.
Any other comments about the language in here? Otherwise, we entertain a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Jessica, seconded by Sarah. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. 7B is a first reading. Considering revisions to board policy 345.1 grading systems. Sarah Strong.
Hi, Anna. This policy looks very different if you look at your, like inside the red line. It's all red. I realize that. I do that a lot, so sorry, thank you. But the evolution of this policy has been going on for many years now. You all have been advised of the work we've been doing around assessment and grading. And now's the time to take a look at our grading systems policy to bring it up to what our current practice is and where we want to go in the future. So we've been very thoughtful in keeping this policy concise, but yet making sure philosophically our ideas are there, as well as laying out some of the ideas and have-tos, whether it's for administration, staff, and looking at how we grade. So you mind if I go paragraph by paragraph and just talk through it? Is that okay? Be my navigator, Steve?
Absolutely.
Thank you, appreciate it. So, first paragraph, right, that primary purpose of grading is really to provide an accurate and meaningful representation of students' achievement and their learning and growth. And that learning and growth piece is very important in the model that we've been implementing and piloting in Mount Horeb. The second paragraph then, that vertical alignment is something, since I've been in the district, we've been working towards in many areas, and making sure that our grading system is vertically aligned and the language is the same, so parents don't figure out a new system at each building their students attend, has been important. Because really, reporting of grades is a communication tool, and a communication tool shouldn't be something parents figure out whether in the K-2 building, which has a new name, the 3-5 building, which may have a new name, middle school or high school. And those should reflect standards. That leads us then to the third paragraph, thinking about how academic grades for achievement are reported separately from behaviors, right? We want to look at those academic standards and not average in behavior or participation or punctuality or signing your name at the top of the paper. Those things muddle what academic learning is. Are they important? Yes. Should we report on them? Yes. Should they be thrown into a math concept? No. Right? That muddies the water in the communicating of what the student truly knows to the family and to the student. I'm skipping the fourth paragraph. It's pretty straightforward. Fifth paragraph, then, the teachers are expected paragraph. Again, that grading consistency making sure whether it is a course, making sure whether it is a department, everyone's on the same page as to how they're grading the same student work. Classroom A, classroom B, classroom C should have the same experience for all kids. Paragraph, I think 6, maybe once you're starting to get a little muddy here. During the instructional period, that's paragraph 6. So student records, student reports, again, prompt specific feedback, that's what really drives instruction, drives the students' learning as to knowing what they knew or did not know. And then ongoing communication with families. They can see in a grade book what the concept was, whether the student was proficient in it, whether they were extending in it, whether they were just approaching versus getting 78%. Right? That's not really telling the family where the student is on the journey, especially as we're trying to add rubrics into our Infinite Campus grade book as well. Paragraph 7 then is a piece that Joel had brought up in our education committee meeting, just making sure that those in the post-secondary systems are aware of our grading system. That's up to our administrators to have that be known. Whether it is through, like high school has something called the school profile that the counselors send out to universities so they understand what homework is, what classes we offer, all those kinds of stats. But then we also have our grading systems in there, so then counselors know where kids are coming from and what those grades mean. And then we always want to make sure that we have a non-discrimination statement within our policy. So there's the complete new policy. Now you may be wondering, where did the old stuff go? That is going to be all in the admin rate, because that's more the how. Things that may need to be tweaked as time goes on. This is the what that we will follow based on whether you approve.
Mr. President, if there were a move out here tonight to consider this, it would be a roll call vote.
Just a reminder. Any comments, questions on this?
Appreciate we had extensive conversation in
Yeah.
education.
Yes.
So the conversation, great questions from our team members, like 4 to 7 of you were in that meeting. So, yeah, we had a great talk.
Yeah, thanks for the walkthrough too on this and how it's structured. It is reflective of all the conversations that we've been having
For years.
and all these other discussions.
Yeah.
Especially with families, we tended to engage families.
Yes. I did have one suggestion on language,
Please.
and it's in the third graph. Closing phrase there about how it shall not be included in academic grades.
Mhm.
This is like nitpicky, but I'm wondering if we can just spell out like shall not impact. Include seems, it could be interpreted as more of a packaging versus like it's not going to affect it. Just calling that out directly.
Okay. Thank you for the
Sure.
suggestion, appreciate it.
I appreciate the reference in here too. It caught my ear when you said, talking about it out loud, about prompt feedback, about including it in there, and how much more important that will be in this system.
Yeah, especially as we look at providing students opportunities to re-perform or share new learning.
Yeah.
And we need promptness in the feedback in a timely manner for students to then approach their teacher, try to understand what went wrong, and then relearn that, because that's the business we're in. We're in the business of learning, right? So we want to make sure kids leave understanding things, not having.
Any further discussion on this one? We could open for a motion on this if we feel like we're ready to move forward.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second that.
Okay, we've got a motion by Jessica, a second by Sarah. Do a roll call vote. Joel,
Yes.
Leah,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
I'm also a yes. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thanks, team, appreciate it.
Dr. Salerno, and to 7C, the Consideration of the revised 26-27 school year calendar.
Yeah, thank you again, board members, and we've already talked about the why. Why do we need to do this? And now the question comes down to how. How do we go about doing this? And we developed two calendars that we asked team members to reflect on. You may recall we have a calendar committee, and based upon survey results we received from families, I think we administered it maybe 2 or 3 years ago. We're probably ripe to do that again sometime soon. But there were some things that families wanted us to be cognizant of when planning our calendar. So for example, trying to coincide spring break with the University of Wisconsin system for spring break, which typically puts us at the last full week of March every year. That's an example of one. Trying to get us done as early as possible in June. This case here, what we would need to do is, because we potentially, if this were to be approved, would be starting school so early in advance of what we legally can do. We need to petition the state to start prior to Labor Day. There's actually a law that says you can't start until after Labor Day. And so the rest of the kinds of bits of feedback we have also are informed by what our staff has asked us in the past. For example, can we make certain that we have 3 days around Thanksgiving? Might there be some time around October to have like a fall break day? Many professional associations host professional development conferences at that time. And rather than have a bunch of colleagues out out of school not able to teach, they'd like to be able to go to those together when possible. And so we used that feedback coupled with what we did in 2017-18, which was the last time we had to make some proposed alterations to our calendar, to come up with 2 drafts. Draft A and Draft B. I won't spend much time on Draft A, but to say that it's not one that we really like, quite frankly, because we're trying to maximize enough summer break in the 26th summer so that we can still offer a summer school program. And many of the people who teach summer school are also needing a little downtime too, right? And so we proposed having under this Draft B, make this a little bigger for you so that you can see, that we would start our teachers and faculty during the 2nd week of August, and the children would start the 3rd week of August. This would then allow us to maximize the summer of 27, like we spoke of earlier. You never know what happens when you open up walls, and if there ends up being some issues that occur, particularly at the middle school. And so under this model, we're proposing that the end of the school year be May the 19th, and would allow us also to have our first semester done before the students leave for the holiday break. Students like that, kind of put a pin on the first semester, and then when they come back, they can start afresh. There's some implications, one of them being, well, when do you hold commencement exercises? And right now, the good folks at Alliant Energy Center are holding 2 dates for us. And my proposal would be to host graduation on the 16th of May. That would mean that it wouldn't be conflicting with Mother's Day, which is, I believe, the 9th, isn't it usually the 2nd Sunday in May, if I remember right? So a lot of the other dates where you see X's in the middle narrative portion are things that I think we would just need to have some conversation about with our colleagues. I understand our 4K partners are understandably supportive of this plan, and we've checked with some parents as well as teachers in the community, and so this is not optimal. I know that, but we do think it's going to hopefully help us procure our general contractor quickly, get us to order things a little more quickly, as we know that pricing is pretty volatile right now. Not to mention the fact that trying to get a hold of a lot of materials right now requires a great deal of lead time, and the orchestration of that into our workflow is going to be important, and could have an impact on the actual cost of our construction project, our brick and mortar project. So if we can get ahead of this, I think we'd be in a really good spot. We've talked with David and his team about what does that mean for cleaning in the summer of 2026, 27, and then 28. Obviously, we'll have a lot more time the following summer to really get a lot more projects done. And quite frankly, he says, touching wood, maybe we could have some savings from the project that would necessitate some more projects that could be done with an extended length of time, much like we had with the last project. And I think we're going to figure out a way. We don't know what that will be, but we do know that there needs to be a way to do that. We're already talking about summer school and what implications there are for dates there. We extend summer school in terms of the number of hours per day and then have a shortened window of time. Those kinds of things are being discussed now as we speak. So with that, just high-level overview of the calendar, I really welcome your questions and feedback and concerns about what you see here, please.
I have a couple of random questions.
Please.
So if we get done May 19th, what impact does that have? Like, I know state track is usually like whatever graduation is in June. Are we gonna run into any WIAA issues with being done with school but still doing
Yeah,
sports?
right? Yeah, great question. No.
Okay.
We didn't the last time, and I don't anticipate this time, because we also have baseball when we go to the championships that
Yep.
year as well.
I think last time we only started like a week early. I feel like it wasn't this early.
It's quite a bit earlier than last time. You're
Yeah.
right. Yep.
Because I feel like we ended like the last week of May last time, and so it's like, it
We
wasn't
ended
as,
right before Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Right?
so this seems, this is a little bit more, so that would be one, like, question. My other question would be, to start the year, what does that do for band? So like, I just was thinking like, the middle school band stuff is usually that first 3 weeks in August.
Mhm.
So, because of summer school, so I don't know what that does for
Right.
the Jenga pieces and the Tetris, but.
We've actually had some of that conversation at a very high level with our band team. Because band, we run for summer school, we get state aid on that to pay for the salaries there. And so we need to be alerting people now, we think, so that they're not making plans. It's going to be real hard to find a lot of substitutes to start the school year. We did notify staff, band staff included, that this is what we were proposing, and if they had already made plans, we certainly want to honor those plans. And so far, I think I've only heard from 2 people, and it's not a real thing at this point. So I think we can get to a yes there. It's going to be a tough summer, but I always know this much is true, and as Brian Johnson reminds me of this, how do people feel when May 19th rolls around and we're ready to finish school? They forget about the beginning. It's not as painful, but it's going to be tough. It's
So
gonna be tough.
my one, I think this is my last question. So I did have a couple people go, I already have vacations scheduled, like, we're gonna be gone for a week. So we only get 10 days of vacation, like, to take our kids out of school that aren't medical. Are we going to have any leeway there so that people aren't gonna get penalized? Because
Yeah.
we've had these schedules out now for like, what, 2-3 years?
This one went out last January.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're right. So the way we'll treat it is the same way we'll do it with the staff, right? We'll put this out, if it is approved tomorrow, and we'll say to families, certainly, if you can demonstrate that you had that vacation already booked, it's paid for, and you can't move it, we're going to be very flexible, principal excuse that. No one wants anyone to have to incur any additional expenses in order to. But if it was, I was just kind of thinking about it,
Right.
might you think about a different date then? Yeah.
Right.
Do we have any concerns about transportation, bringing bus drivers back that early?
No.
Okay.
It's still the same number of days. I should say one thing though, and I failed to mention this before. Can I walk off your thoughtful suggestion? Our teachers have a contract with the Board of Education that would be 180 days per year. And you'll note down below, I don't quite get to 180 days with our staff. And so I'm proposing some flexibility that we're short about 3 days. And I'm proposing, you know, our teachers, they're already working. I was up there yesterday afternoon, and many of them were working even in their classrooms on a Sunday afternoon. Granted, it was only the Bears playing, but still, they're still working hard. And so my thinking would be, could we, those 3 days, flex those so they could be professional development days. They're not any less days of instruction for the children, but it would provide us some flexibility from a dollars and cents point of view. Instead of paying for substitutes or paying for a stipend for them to attend a training of some sort, that we have that baked in and they work with their building administrator to complete 2 of those 3 days. And then quite frankly, because we are asking our staff quite a bit, quite frankly, to come in a whole, 3 or 4 weeks earlier, why don't we just forgive one of those days? Just as a trade of goodwill and thank them for their thoughtful partnership with us. So I wanted to build off your question about our bus drivers, because I think they can do it. And with the exception of 2 staff members, I think we can do it there too.
The only other thought I had, and I mean, it sounds like the days off aren't settled, but you know, there's kind of a typical pace and rhythm to the year, and I know my kid is like, you get a few weeks in and you're like, oh, I need a break, and starting that early, your natural breaks get pushed out longer, and so you can go more consecutive weeks without a break in a model like this.
Good news is Labor Day.
I was just gonna say
That's true.
Labor Day.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and so where you see the yellows,
Yeah.
that's like typically the number of weeks into the school years when we've had parent-teacher conferences, so we try to move that up a similar kind of cadence.
I guess my only question is if we have a repeat of the winter 2 years ago, where we had 7,000 snow days. What can this do to that? I mean, how, because I see only one of those built in there, other than like spring break or some of those things.
Great question. So because now we have moved to an online learning format during those kinds of days, we'll make up our hours. Along the same lines, what if we get to August 2027 and they say, guys, we're not ready yet. And not that I'm trying to throw bad things into the air, but I do just want to quickly pull up a September 2027 calendar. Because I think, because there's such a late Labor Day, if we had to extend the summer a little further, I don't like that idea, but I'd rather not. We could still start after Labor Day, have our staff start September 1st-ish, if we had to, and still be done, because the way in which the calendar falls, by June 9th of 2028. Just as the worst case scenario. So just to maximize as much of that construction time as possible.
And refresh my memory, it's DPI holds us to hours of instruction, not days of instruction, correct? So there would also, if push comes to shove, adding time, which isn't necessarily the right answer, but it is an answer.
It's
if
a
we
plausible
need to.
solution, yes.
Okay.
If we push that 2027, the kids aren't gonna come back. We let them go in May. They're like, you don't have to come back till sometime in September. They're never coming back. They're gonna forget how to school.
Yeah.
Teachers are gonna cry in the corner. It's gonna be huge.
No, I appreciate the thoughtful questions and consideration. I know, again, it's not optimal, but hopefully can get us to a better endpoint.
Dave, I was going to ask you before, just in terms, because you had the summer maintenance schedule up and everything like that, how much more you could front load, next summer, or how you'd adjust to the longer, shorter periods?
So for a typical summer where we do a deep clean in buildings, depending on where the summer school would be in that short summer, we may have to manage expectations of what we can do. Say like the PC, we have to take out the rooms and strip and wax the floors. The IC is a carpeted, so there are where we can move faster through those. When this gets to be real, we'll figure out a way around it, whether I've got to bulk up the manpower, have the carpets professionally cleaned, it gets done faster. We'll get to a solution. My team won't be the holdup, I can tell you that.
Have you given thought to maybe having to only do like the remedial summer school?
Yes, but I don't know that that's really necessary.
Okay.
It might be, depending upon how many people want to help during that summer, or we have to go external to the school district to hire talent. I prefer not to, just because that's important to families too, as I know it's important to you too. So if we have to cross that bridge, we certainly will, but it's not our first choice. Let's continue to see if we can deliver that service.
Especially since they're selling out like concert tickets to try to get into
They
summer
really
school.
are, yeah.
Dr. Solano, thanks for walking through the school days too, and the give back day to faculty. I know we talked about that. I was very supportive of that. Given all the changes on that, it sounds like this board is too, but just wanted to call that out in case there was any other discussion on that item. Okay. What action would you like to take tonight on this?
The administration, based on the feedback we received, would propose if the board could please consider approving calendar B tonight.
Motion to approve calendar B.
I will second that.
Got a motion by Leah and a second from Sarah. Does this one need to be a roll call vote or just be straight voice vote? All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye as well. Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Thank you.
We've not seen any other citizens' comments come up here. So I urge everyone to just take a look at the future agenda items coming up and our list of upcoming meetings. We obviously have our workshop coming up on the end of the month. Just looking for the particular day, September 29th at 6 p.m. Just to underscore that one. Great. And at this time, entertain a motion.
Really quick question, sorry.
Yes.
On the scheduled meetings, it says that safety and wellness is going to be virtual. We're virtual because, no wait, I know this, because we are moving the October, I just have to put it in my
Correct.
calendar. Okay, I'm
Yes.
there.
Because of the
just had
timing
to talk
of
it
the
out
board
loud.
meeting. No, that's good to bring up.
Thank you for saying
Because
that.
I didn't move it in my calendar.
Yes.
And Buildings and Grounds folks agreed at their last finance meeting, they all happen to be finance of the same people as our Buildings and Grounds, so we asked the question if we could hold that meeting in person on October 27th, because we'll be going into closed session at that meeting. All board members are welcome, but the purpose of that meeting really is to determine who met the pre-qualification construction general contractor process that we've established. That will hit the streets next week. Yeah.
Excellent. Item 11 on our docket tonight is our contemplated closed session for section 19851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Leah, second by Jessica. And I'm trying to remember,
Roll call.
it is a roll call, correct? Joel,
Yes.
Leah,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. Going to close, reconvene in 5 minutes.